Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not my beat.
Our guest today played 14 years in the NFL. I used to have a lot more of his stats memorized because we did a show together every week. Now I just can tell you we played 14 years in the NFL, caught a lot of footballs for a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, many of them against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, of course, the analyst with Command Center, my guy Santana Moss. Tana, what's up, bro?
Great, what's good?
Good to have you on the show again, man. So I'm sure that you've been at least made aware, if you weren't watching it live this morning, the kind of story of the day where, you know, Ron Rivera is asked about Eric Bieniemy's intensity, and he admits that some players have had a problem with it. They've gone to him. He just says, hey, go to EB. They talk it out. It seems like everything is fine. We just spent an hour talking about it. I don't want to lead you with my opinion any one way or another, but as a guy who did play 14 years in the league, what did you make of the comments and kind of everything that goes into them?
I really want to hear your opinion on it or your take on it. But as a player, I do believe it's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of guys who played the game don't personally want to coach on this level, because they know what it takes. And sometimes the way we learn and how we was taught by the men we was taught by, they kind of got up our a-holes. You know what I'm saying? I would try to think of a better word, but that's the best word I can think of right now.
They got in your face.
Bingo. They got in our face, got in your behind, whatever you want to call it, and chewed you out at times to make sure you got the job done. Now, when you become a professional on this level, you don't have to worry about those guys speaking to you in that tone or getting after you in that way. But a lot of guys on this level are not professionals. They play the game because they're very, gifted at the game. They don't some of them don't care about, what they do off the field or how they do things on the field. They can just play the game. And you need a coach or two sometimes to let those guys or remind those guys that this is how we got to do it. This is how we have to be, every day. We have to all hold each other accountable. Hey, I love it. You know what I mean? I was laughing when I heard it, because I'm like, I don't know if I would let that out the house a little bit, telling the media, because I know it's going to be a frenzy when you get hold of something like that, just knowing the history of EB. But, man, if we trying to win or we trying to sit around here and be at a country club, you tell me. That's what I look at it as. You want country club, we can go get the coach who was here. You want to win, let's get chewed out a couple of times and see where it takes us.
So I think the way we approached it is differently, but ultimately, we very much agree. I didn't think it was a big deal at all, because, and I actually don't get why people made such a big deal of Ron saying it, because it is Ron's job. If EB rubs someone the wrong way, and, you've been out there at these practices. These practices are so quick tempo-wise. It's something else I want to talk to you about in a few minutes. But, if EB snaps off a piece of feedback to someone and gets on him real quick and then has to go coach the next play, and that guy's just like, what just happened? And he goes to Rivera saying, hey, go talk to Eric, and them talking it out, that's what coaching is. That's not a problem. Yeah. And the fact that some people, are there guys that fit the mold of what you're talking about throughout the league? Absolutely. There are guys that are very gifted, so they play in the NFL, and what I would give to be that gifted athletically. It's something I will never experience. You had it, plus the work ethic, which is why you were you. But to me, a player wanting to talk to a coach and engage with them is actually a positive sign. I don't see that as a negative. And I'm curious, in your perspective and in your career, you had so many different coaches, position coaches, coordinators, head coaches. Who are some of the coaches that you maybe did have a combative but good relationship with that made you a better player?
I think one of them that jumps off the page is Mike Shanahan. He wasn't easy, but he was easy. He was a guy that, man, he gave you so much. He let you be a man. He let you, have those bet days, but he chewed you out. And he chewed you out before you even got to the point of doing something stupid or making a mistake. He let you know day one, I fire guys that been here. I'm firing vets. So if you don't like the way I'm doing things, come step to me in my office and we can shake hands and say, it was nice getting to know you for the short period of time that I've been here. But he set the tone, letting you know, look, man, this is how we're going to do stuff. I'm going to bring guys in here that's going to tell you how I do things. And from there, we're going to take off and try to play some good football. And if you know how to play ball, you ain't got to worry about a coach like that. You want that kind of coach. I want a coach that's going to be fired up about this job because I'm fired up about it. That's why I'm here, you know. And like I said before, every man on a team isn't the same. So you need some guys to kind of have that coach or somebody to kind of chaperone them or tell them practice needs to be a little more, you know, I need a little more tempo from you today, or I need you to hustle to the next period, or I need you to be on your, you know, your best in every drill. You need that sometimes from different, you know, I mean, some players need that from coaches sometimes. So, you know, I think about when I went against, you know how we have these practices during training camp where we go against teams, going against other teams. And
the joint practices, yeah, like they're about to have in Baltimore. Yeah.
Bingo. I remember going against New England late in my career. And I played against New England all throughout my first 4 years in the league when I was in the AFC East. And then I got over here, I didn't play them as much, but I knew what they was about. When you watched our practice and watched New England on the other field practice, you saw the difference. You saw why they're championship caliber and we were who we were. Those guys, every time you heard the whistle blow, those guys were sprinting to the next drill. They was doing something in full speed. We was over here walking to the next drill, having water, and don't get me wrong, we still went out there and played competitive football and had fun and won some games. But the reason why those guys was consistent at winning is because the way they was coached and the way they practiced. So I believe that EB is bringing that fire and letting these guys know I'm going to be intense because this is the way we win games. This is what I was taught. This is how I've been coaching, and this is how we became champions. And we were able to be talked about as one of those teams year after year. If you don't like it, then, hey, like I said, we'll have that handshake and you can go about your business. But you're trying to win. This is what I'm bringing.
Santana Moss with us here on the Hoffman Show. I don't know, Tana, if you saw EB's full presser today, but he had a really amazing quote in it to the exact point that you just said. And he said, I tell these guys there's an imaginary sign out front that says good applicants welcome, as if to say, hey, if someone wants to come take your job, they can come take it. So you better prove it every single day. And that, like,
Bingo.
that's the league. You talk about the New England stuff and how they practiced and kind of the edge that they had, the intensity that they kept. And we've seen it now with Bieniemy. I think sometimes that stuff can be a little bit for show, and you can go out and still get your ass kicked on Sundays. But what is it about the cumulative nature of doing everything with a certain intensity that you do think leads to like this? And I don't think just to be clear, I don't think the way Belichick does it is for show. I don't think the way that Bieniemy does it is for show. There's a reason why they do these things this way. My question to you is, what is that why? What is it about doing things this way that leads to champions?
You know, I don't have the right answer. You know, it's never one answer for this type of stuff, you know. And I just believe that when you practice great habits, it shows up in the critical moments of the game. It shows up in a time where we're tired. This other team has been beating us, and we need to find a way to gut it out to come back and take the lead. And when you do the things that these guys have instructed these guys to do through situations by, you know, dog days like camp and all the other times when they got up in these guys' face and told them how I need you to be and how intense I'm going to be at you, you know, it shows up in those moments because you don't want to fail. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been on teams where it's okay to not make the play. But me as a man, I'm trying to make every play because guess what? When it comes my way, it's going to be my name on there that said that he either caught the ball or didn't. It's going to be my family name that get dragged if, you know, we're in a social media era now that's going to get dragged every day on social media. Thank Lord I didn't have to play in that era that long. I was on my way out when that social media game came around. Yeah. But I thought of that stuff all the time. Like, I tell folks to this day, folks ask me, Tanner, hey, you know, I had this interview the other day. Somebody was like, what was your most defining moment as the University of Miami Hurricane? So I asked the guy, I say, as a punt returner or as a receiver? He's like, both. Give me one. I said, as a punt returner, I can say the most defining moment was just my last year when I ran the last punt back and broke the record, my last game in the OB. It was senior night, boom, boom, boom. I said, you should have saw the things that I did all year long that fast on that same kind of play, wall left. And then it shows up my last punt return I take as a senior in the OB. Then I told him as a receiver, I say, the most defining moment to me was when I dropped that ball my sophomore year against Florida State, the first deep ball that we threw, the first, you know, drive of the game. I said, that play right there really made me because I've been in situations where coaches tell you this play is going to either make you or break you. And when I say it could have easily broke me because everybody got on me about that. And I still finished the game with 90 yards and a TD, But I could have easily curled up into my shell and said, I don't want to play no more, coach. This is the biggest game of the year. This is the first drive of our game. And if I catch this ball, we probably beat Florida State. I don't know. It was the first drive, so who knows how the game would have transpired. It would have probably broke their back like, damn, this guy, they just stopped us, and then the offense do this. But what I did, I took that, and I knew how low I felt. I knew all the stuff that I heard, in the streets from people who were just fans. Now, they didn't remember nothing I did the rest of that year because I balled out the whole year. But always, all I heard was the drop ball that I had against Florida State. So I took that and I let that build my fire. I let that be my fire, and I made sure I never felt like that again. So that's what I'm talking about. In moments like that, man, you understand what this game can do for you. And I think when you have coaches like the coach that EB is and the coaches that I've kind of been brought up under, all of them wasn't the same. When you have those coaches there to kind of make you understand that perspective, then you go out there and play with a different mindset. And like I said before, it doesn't always lead to you having Hall of Fame careers or Pro Bowl careers or, you name it. Still, you're able to understand what it means to have a coach teach you the proper way of doing things because, like I said before, I've had those coaches where when you lose, it wasn't a big thing. Hey, we're going to try again next week. But I want a coach to be up my you-know-what because I know it means something to me if he's doing that.
Santana Moss with us on the Hoffman Show. So I actually love that analogy of the fire, right? Because fire, if it's not hot enough, it doesn't do anything. If it's too hot, it burns you. And so I'm curious if you think of your own experience, and this is where I have a great appreciation for what I see of Bieniemy and for some of the things he talked about today, where he's like, I will be on guys, but I will also be their biggest supporters. Like there's a balance there. When you think back to that sophomore year that you had at the U and maybe other moments in your career, how did coaches make sure that your internal fire stayed at the right temperature, if you will?
Well, I had a receiver coach, Curtis Johnson. To me, I give him all the credit that I can give a guy when it comes to my game. Why I was able to play on the NFL level at a high level at 5'9.5", 5'10". The guy taught me how to be a professional wide receiver in college. He told me when I first got there, he said, bro, you have a go route and a post corner. Them the two routes you got. He said, by the time you leave here, you're going to be able to run every route in this tree, and you're going to be damn good at it. And I know I had other routes, but he was just telling me what I did exceptionally well. And that's basically running past people. So, I took a lot of stuff that he taught me, and I remember that moment, man, when I dropped that ball, and he had me in that room, and he said, look, man, he said, Tanner, you ain't going, he said, you want to hear them call your name for you dropping it or for you making the catch and making a play out of it. He said, you got to make the play first. He said, you were so wide open to where you was leaning. You were just so antsy to get the ball when you could have just slow the game down and let it come to you. And I swear that was the best advice he could have gave me because from that moment on, I always told myself in the game, before every game, let the game come to me. Let the game come to me. If it's a catch, let me catch it first. If I just so happen to get jiggy out there, I just so happen to get jiggy out there. But don't try to do much. Try to catch the ball first. Get that first catch under your belt so now you can have things slow down for you. And I swear I needed that. But also, not only him telling me that, it's things he did every week. He made me carry a ball around school. Told guys, did you see Santana with this ball? I know he's not fumbling, but make sure you make sure that he has his ball and he's doing these ball drills. He told me these ball drills with he gave me single hand ball drills, because I always had small hands. And he said, Tanner, I want you to just, hold the ball at the tip of the ball and drop it and re-catch it. Do that throughout school while you're walking around. And he had the guys mess with me when I had the ball. And I think all that stuff just built confidence up in me, strengthened my hands, a lot of stuff like that. But at the same time, he could have easily just chewed me out and say, man, you awful, blah, 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 and you're not going to play no more. But he understood the magnitude of that moment, and he also understood that let's see what you're made of now. You know what I mean? Let's see if you take that and let it build you or let it, like you say, burn you, and then now you're no longer able to play on this level.
That's coaching. You got to keep the fire at the right temperature. That's good stuff. That's a really cool story. Santana Moss with us here on the Hoffman Show. All right, back to this team and a couple of things more specific to it. What do you make of the offense's ability to get better by playing against this defense every day? It is so challenging, and there have been a couple of days, it seems like, in practice where the defense is just too good and the offense can't even operate. They can't function, and that's not getting that much done. But they bounce back and have shown some resilience. So what have you made kind of that battle between what we think is a pretty elite defense and an offense that is a work in progress?
The key words you said, they bounce back. That's growth right there. They bounce back. I mean, it's not going to be peaches and cream. And I, quite frankly, I believe that the defense should beat up on us every day. Honestly, they should beat up on us every day until we have our stuff together. And I think the only way you're going to see the offense get their stuff together is because now everyone's going to learn the scheme together and know how to play in unison together. Like, this is the new offense. The offensive line is restructured. You have a new quarterback. The skill guys are still some of the same guys, but the guys up front in the trenches is what you need the most to do anything offensively. And when you have a new quarterback and a new offensive line all trying to get the things down together, it's going to cause you to have some of them days. And then let's not, act like we don't have a top 5 defense that they're going against every day. I mean, our front 5 alone is probably best in the league. You know what I mean? So could be best in the league. I give us top 2, top 2 front line. But I'm just saying, like, you have no choice but to get better going against those guys, every day. And I think you're going to see a team that shows that growth throughout the season. Every game you're going to be able to say, okay, this is what it's like to get beat up in practice and go out here and beat up on other people. Because I've had those experiences. I know what that was like at UM. We beat up on each other. Our offense was so high-powered. No, seriously.
Oh, I know. I remember going through those rosters with you. Like, we just sit there before the show back when we did the show together in, what was it, 2016? And I just pull up the Wikipedia page. Like, tell me about that guy. Tell me about that guy. You guys, it was like 100 pros at one time on a college team. It was ridiculous.
Bro, we beat up on each other. I remember being a young pup, then I remember being a veteran in college. And I remember young guys like Philip Buchanan coming in and Michael Rump being a young guy. And, like, we would embarrass them in practice. But guess what? Come game time, those guys are leading the Big East in picks because they got a chance to see the best every day, So that's how I look at what we have going on right now. They have no choice but to get better, and I'm okay with them getting beat up. It's not alarming to me. I think last year was alarming because we knew how good our offensive line had done the year before, and we was expecting them to be better last year, and something just wasn't right. And we also knew this offense had been something that they've been running for the last few years. So you should have it all down packed. But the one thing that was probably hampering us last year around this time was having a new quarterback too. You know what I'm saying? So It's just one of them situations. With what we have going now and the things that the guys across from them have going for themselves, it's night and day. And so we should get our behinds beat up. But like you said, they should bounce back because now you get a chance to watch yourself. And then, we're in practice. We watch each other every day. I should be able to now have something better planned for you tomorrow after taking a butt whipping today.
No doubt. That bounce back is so important, and we've seen it from this offense time and time again. I can't repeat exactly what Eric Bieniemy said today, but it's good stuff is the paraphrase from Bieniemy today talking about it. More from Santana if you want it. Command Center on the Commanders YouTube page. Tana, always great to have you, bro. We'll definitely have you back again soon, and I'll see you out at practice next week.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Take care.
You got it. Santana Moss, everybody, with us here on The Hoffman Show. Thanks for watching this clip of our 2023 Washington Commanders training camp coverage. For more, check out the radio show live daily from 4 to 7 p.m. on the Team 980. We also stream live on the free Odyssey app, or you can watch the show here on YouTube at the Team 980. Subscribe right here for all our on-demand content. Click the button. Go now. Subscribe. And come on, while you're at it, let's be honest. If you made it this far, you probably liked what you saw. So go ahead and hit that like button too before another video starts. It's the polite thing to do.